Today, we're at the shop because we're officially bending and welding the first ever MBK-1 prototype. Let's get started. Just when I thought everything was going perfectly, we ran into a problem. The tube was not being bent correctly.
So this, somewhere around 6 3/8.
But it should have been 8.5-ish.
Yes.
Before we bend the rest of the tubes, Tom wanted to go back and double check all of the measurements to make sure the tube bender bends the tubes perfectly. So while he did that, I tackled the problem we faced last week, which was getting the swing arm around the spacers and locking the rear axle in place. So what that would look like is something like this, where, as you can see here, it's a straight edge, and then the tab, you just kind of fold it over, and then you go ahead and put the screw through that, but you have to obviously get a nut as well to prevent it from moving. And so that's the idea there. It's these little details that you don't really think are gonna cause a problem, but it needs to work properly. So yeah, there's a funny saying, you know what you know, and you know what you don't know, but you don't know what you don't know. And throughout this process, I'm learning a lot of the things that I don't know. Obviously, every issue we run into adds time, and there is a pretty big time crunch on launching, because if we don't launch soon, like, my money's gonna run out, and I'm gonna have to go back to find real work while we're still hopefully working on this. But I really don't wanna do that. I think we're still at a point where we're just almost there. Like, I feel and I see the finish line, but it's one of those things where, although I can see the finish line, which is our VIP launch, which if you're not registered for, click the link below. But at the end of the day, we need to make sure that the bike is working and it's flawless. In order to get to that point, there's so many little hurdles in the way. That part doesn't make me nervous, but how long will it take to get it right? And then once we get it right, what are the other problems that we don't know yet that we're gonna hit? So yeah, hopefully we got some good news. So when Tom got back, he had a plan. We're gonna take the tube we've already used, cut it up, and weld it back together so it's straight again. This way, we can start over with the correct measurements. Good idea though, just cut it up, put it back together.
Well, recycle, right?
So with the new tube now made, we can try again. But because this is welded together, we didn't want to waste the material. There's two potential breaking points that if it bends on the weld, there's a chance it could break, so we'll find out.
So we're gonna clamp die, the pressure die, and bend arm to 45.
So as Tom started to bend the tube, everything was going as planned. That was until we got to the first weld, and we realized that big bend that happens near the back of the frame, it's exactly where the weld is on the tube. So we're gonna be pushing the limit of what's possible here. But that's what we do at Mantini, so enjoy. Like, what's the worst thing that would happen? It would just...
Oh, it'll break.
It'll just crack, or like...
It'll break, it'll come off and kill all of us.
Okay.
There's a good chance.
So we held our breath and hoped for the best. And then, nothing. So we're all good. We kept bending, and eventually we almost had what looked like a completed frame rail. But because we are doing it manually, we gotta make sure every bend is accurate. So right now he just wants to make sure that the angle, because the way our frame is, it's not just parallel, it goes up and then inward. And so he just wants to make sure that it's actually gonna be... I messed it up, we're done. Oh, I wonder, while we're waiting, technically, this piece, it should go something like this, but that bend is totally different. Yeah, this should technically, like, it should be more like that, but that's quite different. Oh, wait a minute. Hey! I mean, we'd have to grind a little bit there, but that pretty much fits in there perfectly. So, it was me, it wasn't him. It wasn't him. The crazy thing about this is, yeah, there's so many little details that if one's off, it could throw the whole thing off. Even with this piece right here, like, I had it the wrong way. But when you're building a prototype, like, I can't imagine a car with like 50,000 parts. So once Tom got back, it was time to make the final bend.
Okay, bend arm forward 2, 32.3.
So with this final bend, we officially have the first frame rail. Sort of.
Not far off.
No, not at all.
That's going the right way and everything.
And then this will be cut somewhere. And
Yeah, well, this was just a random length of tube. So.
Yeah.
Again, this was just a test piece to make sure the tube bender was set up correctly. Now that it is, we can finally begin to bend the first ever MBK-1 frame. But before we started, Tom explained that he wanted to spend a bit more time noodling with the bender to make sure it works perfectly.
So there's going to be a bunch of noodling on it.
So I left him to noodle for the rest of the day, but when I came back, he had a surprise waiting for me.
We have both frame rails right here. We got left and right. And so as you can see, we're gonna have to cut and fish mount these right here, which will then allow us to officially tack this together with the neck there and on there. But we have everything we need to pretty much put together the first MBK-1 prototype, which I'm really excited about. So let's get to cutting and fish mounting and tacking, and it's gonna be a wonderful day.
All right. So we'll put this guy on and see if we can do the other side.
Sweet. When I walked in, I'm like, oh, that's the welding fixture, but no, it's not. It's, what would you define this as? The alignment?
Checking fixture, yeah.
The checking fixture. We're gonna have to cut right here, but in order to know exactly where to cut, we're gonna put it in this fixture. This will help make sure that it's exactly where it needs to be.
So this wants to be cut somewhere in here. Then we'll start putting it on the table and start building it from here forward.
Yep.
And hopefully it all ends up right up there.
Exactly. Well, this is probably the easiest to correct, right?
Well,
If you need to.
yeah, or you could just use bubble gum
Bubble gum.
and then you paint it at the end.
What about ramen? I've seen a lot of people using ramen.
That might work too.
All right, so we officially have the frame rails ready to go. We got all the pieces we need, and I think we're just gonna line it up and then tack it together, and then we'll have something that's actually whole, almost, minus the engine plate. But this is exciting. Look at this thing. Somebody said, why does it take so long to build a mini bike? Just get it done already. And I was just like, you have no idea all the variables and things.
You're understanding it more now.
Oh yeah. Well, the design process definitely took longer than expected, but it was worth it. But even at that point, it's not like we solved every problem. There's been so many more, but I think it's worth it. I think it's worth that we're taking our time.
So while we were working, Tom's good friend Eric stopped by for an unrelated reason. But after seeing what we were working on, he couldn't resist but to lend a hand.
So what we'll do is we'll make the cage, and then that'll be the last thing we do up there.
Yeah.
We just got to make sure that everything back here, we need a bar clamp here too. It's like wrestling an octopus.
So it took a little bit of time to get everything lined up perfectly, but once we did, it was finally coming together.
Seeing it at this point, it's like a dream come true. It's very exciting that we're here right now. This is 10 months in the making, and I'm very, very happy, very excited. And at the end of the day, a lot of people are asking, like, why isn't it done yet? As you can see, there's a lot of intricacies and variables and things that we got to make sure are done right. But once we do it right, then it's just replicating it, which that will be much easier. MBK-1, 1.
So with it all finally clamped together, we can officially start welding it.
There we go. 90% done, 50% left to go.
Wait, say that again?
That's just the way that these things to detailing. You think, oh, we got this mostly beat, and then, oh yeah, plus that, plus that, plus that, plus that.
So a lot of people have commented saying that they think the MBK-1 is too big. And realistically, it might look big when it's on a table, but if we bring it down to the floor, now yes, it'll sit a little higher with wheels and everything, but as you can see, I think it's still classified as a mini bike. And even here with no seat on it or anything, like, I'm actually pretty comfortable. I'm 6 foot tall, and I think this is a pretty good size for an adult. And although we don't have the neck on yet, the handlebars will be somewhat in this area here. So I think this is gonna be a really comfortable ride for people. So I don't think it's too big. I think it's actually perfect. MBK-1 prototype number 1, almost done.
But before we call it a day, I have to see what the swing arm looks like on the bike.
Look how cool this looks. It's not even finished yet. The whole front end still needs to be done. But like, have you ever seen a mini bike that looks this cool? I don't think so, because I haven't.
Strangely enough, I like the highlights off the bare tube. It looks like serpents going everywhere. It's kind of nice.
As soon as I put this on, I'm like, my dad wants to do this, and now I'm sold on it. He wants to do a whole chromed frame.
He'll be polishing it, not me.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Now, he can borrow my horribly expensive fine polisher, because it does go right down to polishing.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah.
No. It will definitely turn heads, that's for sure.
I need to get the neck done, because that bothers me up there with the tube's not quite right, but they will be.
It will be. Speaking of then, this is actually a great transition. What is obviously the game plan to getting it done in terms of timeline? Because I think I have the date selected for the launch. I was gonna do it earlier, but I think I wanna give us more time to finish it properly and also for paint and everything. But what are you thinking now that we're at this stage?
I have given up on time.
Given up on time.
I have given up on time. As I said earlier, 90% done, 50% left to go.
Okay.
So if we're talking about the peg things and this sort of stuff, I need another couple of days.
Couple days, okay.
To get the peg holes in and get the neck all straightened out and tweak the frame. You got a motor plate. I got the thing on the bottom. So
I should be thinking like probably Wednesday, Thursday-ish?
You know, yeah.
Ish?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're farther ahead than we were, and we're making progress and getting closer.
Yeah, exactly. It looks amazing. So, okay, cool. Well, I guess we'll just keep moving forward, and this is exciting.
Whew. So it looks like we are on track to finish the first prototype next week, which means we can finally announce the date for the VIP pre-sale. So mark your calendars for Saturday, April 27th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to click the link in the description to register if you haven't, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on what's coming next.